What's up, college football fans? Welcome back to an all new episode of the Cover 2 College Football Podcast. I'm your host, Tim Smithson, joined, as always, by my co host, the Okie Longhorn himself, Dalt. It's just the two of us tonight for this recap episode. First and foremost, as usual, how are we doing tonight, buddy?
Oh man, I'm ecstatic. Yeah, I am so ready for this week, man. You have no idea how ready I am for this week. I loved last weekend. It was great to be in Austin. The drive, I'm a little old to be making 6 hours just continuous trips. My legs, my hips, my back, they were killing me after getting out of the truck. But no, I'm excited. This weekend, man, it's long overdue. I know we're doing the recap, but I'm ready for it.
For sure. Yeah, we'll get back together here pretty quick. Obviously, getting this recap in a little late. Tried to do it last night, wasn't able to. But we'll go ahead and get it out here tonight. Going to talk about these 5 games we picked, do a little best and worst, and kind of get in and out of here tonight, Dalt. We had 5 games. Um, you did a lot better than me on picks as usual. You went 3-2. I had a rough weekend. Went 1-4. Our guest last week, my buddy Corey, he actually had the best week out of all of us. He went 4-1. So shout out to you, Corey. Ironically, your one team that you missed on was your Crimson Tide. I know that probably stings a little bit, but we got to talk about it. So I I don't I don't know where I'm at, Dalt. Honestly, it's like I'm in the upside down the last 3 days. But anyway, some playoff just it kind of exploded this weekend. Some teams' playoff hopes. It was like landmines just everywhere. You had teams falling out: Bama, Ole Miss, Colorado. I feel like I'm missing somebody. So there was one other team. Oh, A&M. How could I forget? 4 overtime thriller at Auburn. Auburn finally wins a game, Dalt. They finally get it done. But we may touch on that one in best and worst when we get to that this later this evening. But we'll get right into it, man. First game that we picked this past weekend, it was Colorado went to Kansas. And me and you were both on the Buffaloes here, Dalt. And Corey, ironically, was on the Jayhawks. And that turned out to be a good pick as they pretty much controlled this game. I mean, really start to finish. It kind of felt like they got out to the big lead, not huge lead, but they were up a couple scores. Colorado was able to get back in it. I think it was what 20. It was it 21-20 or something like that. I know they had made it close, and then
Yeah,
Kansas kind
they
of
they they cut it to 23-21 in the third.
23-21.
Like
That's what it
like
was.
like coming out of the half, they cut it to 21-23.
So they kind of were back in it, and then it was almost like Kansas was kind of like, "Oh yeah, well, you thought," and they kind of pull away. Final in this one, if I can find it here, what was it? Was it 37-21?
Yep,
Yeah.
37 to 21.
So 37-21 is the final. I think the story of this game, Dalt, has to be Neal for Kansas. Your Kansas Jayhawks they finally look like the team that you thought they were going to be the last couple of weeks. I mean, this is
The
third straight top 25 win for the Kansas Jayhawks and Lance Leipold. What do you think of this one?
I didn't get to watch any of this. I come back and watch the highlights of it after we got home on Sunday just to kind of get ready for the recap. Wire to wire, just this is the Jayhawks team that I had in the playoffs. This is why I had Devin Neal as the Big 12 MVP over Ollie Gordon in the Big 12 preview because this is the team that I thought they were going to be the entire year. If you would have told me they would have got out to a 1-6 start or a 1-5 start, I would have called you crazy, a liar there. I would have never thought there was any way that this team was going to go 6-6 this year because of the performance they had this weekend. They rushed for 333 yards. This Colorado defense is still who we thought they were. Shadur Sanders had a good game. I think he only had like six or seven incomplete passes.
Yeah.
Threw for 266. The downside was the officiating in this game was a little spotty.
I mean,
He gets absolutely just cut at the knees on a blatant roughing the
Yeah.
passer. Then he gets so upset that he's shoving refs at the end of this. It's just it was a bad look, and we know this Big 12 crew. We know who it was. We know that they're always bad in any game that they do. But good, I mean, good for Kansas. Devin Neal goes for 280 all-purpose yards, 200 on the ground, 80 receiving, 4 touchdowns. Just a hat tip to a guy that I know knew was going to be good, and just really disappointed that he hadn't had the season that I expected him to.
Yeah. I mean, you look at 37 carries, 270 yards, 3 touchdowns. Like you said, Shadur was really good, 23 to 29, 266, also had 3 touchdowns. Travis Hunter had a great day receiving. He had 8 for 125, couple touchdowns. Uh, you looked at Colorado, and it kind of this looked like the Colorado last year. This is what it looked like last year. A really good offense that if they couldn't just build some kind of lead, then the defense they weren't going to stop anybody, and they couldn't stop Kansas. And I heard an interesting stat. Kansas, I don't know if you listened to Joel Klatt. I heard this on his podcast today, actually,
Yeah, I
and
listened.
I was blown away by this. If you ended every Kansas game this year at the 2-minute timeout in the fourth quarter, they would be 9-2 right now. And so you I think that's a sign of a team that's probably quite a bit better than what their record is, because they just have lost some close games, and sometimes that's just the way it goes. You have that kind of season. Sometimes you get off and win, and sometimes you don't. I don't think it necessarily makes you a good or bad team. I mean, a team that's 5-6, I think you say, well, yeah, they're just not great, but
Nobody
maybe.
wants to see Kansas right now.
Well, no, yeah, you definitely don't want to see them right now. Not at all. Which they're still trying to get bowl eligible. This brought them to 5-6. But Colorado, they dropped 8-3, Dalt 6-2 in the conference. They no longer going into the final week control their own destiny in the Big 12. They do still have a shot at making the conference championship. It's just kind of an outside shot. They need 2 of the 3, Iowa State, Arizona State, and BYU. They need 2 of them to lose this final weekend, which, not totally unrealistic. Iowa State, they got Kansas State. BYU plays Houston, and then Arizona State. That game is this weekend, so a couple rivalry games that you never know what might happen. But I don't think right now, I don't think it's looking great for Colorado as far as Big 12 title aspirations go. The story of the Big 12 is a team that we're going to touch on here in a few minutes. But yeah, Kansas wins this one. We were both on Colorado here -3. Just thought that they had kind of had things rolling and looked like just a team that had kind of been taking care of business. They'd kind of figured some things out. And I thought Prime said it best in the post game is they kind of were they got into a place where they were kind of feeling themselves a little bit. I think his reference was we were smelling ourselves. Kind of hyping themselves up and got a little arrogant maybe, and that happens. So it's a tough blow for Colorado.
The biggest key is Kansas had 40 minutes of possession to Colorado's 19.
Yeah.
They doubled them in time possession. Colorado only ran 12 rushes and 29 pass plays. So they only ran 41 plays. I mean, just hypothetically 41 plays. Kansas had more rushing attempts than that. Kansas had 55 rushes. And you think, oh, wow, they ran it 55 times for 333 yards, 6 yards a clip.
It's crazy. Well, again, we were both on Colorado, so this was a loss for us. Corey, he took the Jayhawks here, so that was a win for him. But you bring up a team having some success running the football. We will move on to our next game, Dalt. Good little segue here. And we move over to the SEC, where my Oklahoma Sooners, I don't know what other word to use besides just pretty much totally dominated Alabama. on Saturday night in Norman. Uh,
Hammered them.
I I I don't know who that team was, and again, that OU beats Alabama 24-3. Alabama held without a touchdown for the first time, I believe, since the LSU regular season game in 11. That was 9-6 was the
Yeah.
final. Uh, just I said it, Dalt, before on the preview. I didn't see a path to Oklahoma winning this game, and if you had told me that OU was going to rush for 260 something yards against Alabama, I I would have said you're crazy. You're insane. Like, I mean, what? I'll let you. What did you think of this one? We both had Alabama minus 13 and a half. Corey did obviously as well. I picked against OU. I just thought if if you told me the score was 24-3, I would have said, yeah, Alabama won 24-3. That wouldn't have surprised me. But what did you think of this one?
Man, the writing was there. And you know, I'm so bullish on what I think Oklahoma is and what their potential is. That what we've seen from OU all year has been bad football. And I think you and I can both agree
Bad
that,
offense.
well, bad offense. I'm sorry, bad offense. I think me and you and I can both agree that this OU football team has a lot of really good players on it. And whether it be wrong personnel sometimes, wrong play calling, I thought the path was there for OU to beat Alabama, but we didn't want to think that they could do it. The quarterback run hurt them with Vanderbilt. It hurt them with South Carolina. But I would have never expected them to use Jackson Arnold like a battering ram, which is the way that he was used at Denton Guyer. If we're
Yeah.
being completely honest, this is the almost the exact offense he ran in high school. A lot of quarterback power. They out Alabama to Alabama.
Well, and and I was going to say that it their offensive game plan, it kind of seemed pretty similar to what Vanderbilt did against Alabama. A lot of two back sets, a lot of motion before the snap, kind of eye candy stuff, misdirection, and
A
then
lot of
yeah, I
veer.
mean,
A lot of
just
veer.
Jackson Arnold, like, I mean, he had a couple runs that I just am watching it like, man, like I don't, I, it's bizarre. But here's my thing, and I'm not going to try to dive too far into this game. Being a fan of OU, obviously, I was thrilled. Obviously, I love when Oklahoma wins. Like, this was great. This was like definitely the highlight of the season for me, and it's an outstanding win for this program. And just as a fan, what we've had to watch all year, like this was just like a not even a breath of fresh air. It was like an oxygen tank full of fresh air to right to your face. Um, but for the first time all year, Dalt, I felt like on both sides of the ball, they were just dialed in to what they wanted to do and committed to what they wanted to do and executed at an extremely high level on both sides of the football. They knew what they wanted to do offensively and they did it. They knew what they wanted to do defensively and they did it. And I just you look at Jalen Milrow, probably probably one of the worst games of his career, maybe the worst game.
Not good.
Uh, 11 for 26, 164 yards, had the three picks. The one, obviously, he got hit as he threw, kind of just went up for grabs. I will say the officiating miscall, really bad. Just a horrible, horrible blown call by the officials. And that's something we could spend probably an hour talking about college football officiating and how horrible it is. This was actually the same crew that did your Texas Georgia game, and that we all know what happened in that game. So not great on the officials on that one. I'm of the camp that I don't know how much that would have mattered in the grand scheme, as well as Oklahoma's defense played. I know it would have given Bama some momentum. Obviously, you never know. It's a two-score game with most of the fourth quarter left. You never know. I don't know. But
I don't understand the where what they thought they saw in that situation.
I don't.
I went back, watched the video. Unless they misexplained what the call was. Obviously, the outside guy what runs over, because at first whenever I went back and watched it, I was like, maybe the outside guy told him like, hey, I'm on, and then like takes a step off the line. He comes over, he tells him like, I'm off the ball. Ryan Williams comes up, tells him like, I'm on, am I good? Gives him the thumbs up. Tight end stays in and blocks, and they call Ryan Williams for an illegal receiver downfield.
Well, see,
He,
and
I've seen
they
stuff
didn't
where it
call
was
him
an
for illegal. They just called it illegal touching, which I guess is kind of the
yeah.
same thing.
Well, yeah.
And that has to be what the ref thought. He had to have thought something, either missaw the formation or something, because you notice he didn't throw the flag immediately, but as soon as the ball went to Ryan Williams, that's when he tossed the flag. So it's like he knew that made it a penalty because that's where the ball was going.
Yeah.
And I don't know. It's, again, totally horribly blown call. Awful. And officiating in college football and really sports in general, you know how I feel about officials. I think they all suck. There's never been a good one. I won't say otherwise, but again, not to beat this game to death. Just really proud of my Oklahoma Sooners. Showed a lot of heart in this one. I'm happy for those guys that were seniors on senior night. The guys that they've been through a lot in their career at Oklahoma, going from the coaching change under Lincoln Riley to Brent Venables and the move to the SEC. Just they've gone through a lot, had a lot of ups and downs. Obviously, just a massive win, biggest win of Brent Venables' career, without a doubt. Probably the best game that he's coached his entire career. It's I don't know. It was pretty unexplainable. I was pretty well speechless, honestly.
As much as I hate OU, and I'll always cheer for them to lose, I'm not mad at this.
Yeah, it helped you.
It's
good for Texas. Yeah, for sure.
What does OU going 6-6 or 7-5 have to do with my Longhorns?
Yeah, no, absolutely. It knocked. People can say what they want. Alabama's out of the playoff. Like unless there's just utter chaos this final week, which I don't even know that there can be enough of that. I think Bama's out. You lose to
Georgia Tech, upset Georgia.
You lose to what is potentially going to be a 6-6, probably Vanderbilt team who plays Tennessee, and what could end up being a 6-6, maybe 7-5 Oklahoma team. Not good. You can get by with the Tennessee loss. That's a good team, but Oklahoma and Vanderbilt, not great. Vanderbilt was better this year, but still, that's not a great team. That's not a good loss. Like, it's just not.
No, those are two teams that are at the bottom of the conference.
Right. Like, I think 13th and 14th or 12th and 13th maybe in the conference, something like that. So anyway, we both took Alabama here, Dalt, and I can say happily I was wrong on this one. This is one I would not ever be upset about being wrong, which I guess they could have still covered and got beat, but they win the game by 3 touchdowns. I can't explain it. I have no idea. I can't wait to go to Baton Rouge this week and probably get beat by a million, because that's more than likely what's going to happen.
They can't stop. You just ran for 130 yards with your quarterback against Alabama. You think LSU can stop a running quarterback? Show me the tape. Show me the tape where an LSU defense has stopped a running quarterback all year. Oh, you're gonna go 7-5. Sign Brent Venables to a longer extension.
Yeah, don't even get me started, dude. Don't get me started.
Now you'll never get Signetti.
Right. Well, OU wins 24-3. We'll move on, Dalt. We both had Alabama here. Next game probably be a pretty quick one to get through. Notre Dame just absolutely hates America. I don't know how else to put it. They hate America. They hate the armed forces. Jail time maybe should be considered. I don't know. It seems like treason, possibly. They beat Army 49-14, and again, I take Army like an idiot that I am. I don't know why. I'm still not in on Notre Dame, man. I'm just not. The schedule's terrible. Who have they
Schedule's
beat?
bad.
Who have they
Schedule's
beat?
bad.
And they
Texas
lost to
A&M.
NIU, man. Like, this is a team. I don't know. I think Notre Dame's a fine team, but they beat Army 49-14. You obviously had the Irish here in a game that, for all intents and purposes, was just never close. This one was 28-7 at half, and they tack on 21 more in the second half. Army just never really had a chance. I saw some highlights of this during the OU game because I think this one was at night too. So didn't really watch much of this one. But I mean, you got anything on this?
Here's the biggest key to what I didn't even get to watch any of it because I was watching the two other late night games. Do you know what Notre Dame went on third down?
Perfect. I
Three,
don't know.
3 for 5.
Oh,
The
nice.
entire game, they only had the 5 third down attempts.
It's pretty
I
good.
mean,
It's pretty good.
it's exactly what exactly how I said it was going to go. This Notre Dame defense is top 5 in the country. Say what you want about the schedule. The loss to NIU is inexcusable, but it is what it is. Riley Leonard is going to have some trouble when we get to the playoffs if he doesn't tighten it up in the pass game. I know he went 14 for 18 for 189 yards, which is efficient, and I know they use his legs and this and that. But when you face somebody with an elite run defense, like whenever you go up against Georgia or Texas or Ohio State or potentially Oregon, you're going to have Riley Leonard throw the football, and I just don't see him being able to do that. But for now, they're going to go 11-1, and probably
They're
be.
gonna host a playoff game.
I was excited. They're going to be either 5, 6, or 7.
Yeah, I say you probably get them at
7.
6. I think.
If
I mean, where are they right now? They're at 6
if
right now. So I mean,
yeah, well, but you got to think also somebody's going to bump them back a spot with the Big 12 champion and the ACC champion.
yeah, that's true.
So, and what that's going to come
I
down to,
I
where they
got
land
something.
is, what if Ohio State
This
and
next game we're
Texas
gonna talk.
go 11-1, and then they both lose to Georgia and
Well, that's the
Oregon?
thing. If Oregon loses to
They're
Ohio State,
they're
they're
the
going to be
5.
the 5
Yeah.
without question. Like
If Texas loses to Georgia, I think they're still the 6 because they'll be 11-2.
Yeah, that's probably fair. I think you'd be probably a toss up between 6 and 7 with Notre Dame more than likely. If Notre Dame's sitting there at 11-1, but you guys would have the better resume, obviously. But yeah, I took Army here. You took Notre Dame. We're gonna move on to the Big 12 Dalt and talk about this game, and then I just want to. I saw this come across TikTok, and I
Oh
just
my
want to touch on
gosh.
it. I just want to touch on it because it intrigued me because I actually did not know this. I hadn't really thought about it, but anyway, well, I'll bring it up here in just a second because we're talking about the Big 12. Um, Arizona, they go on the road or no, at home. They're at home and they sneak by BYU in what was just a crazy finish to the game. They win the game. The final here was 28-23 in what was the BYU runs a final play, and the crowd rushes the field, and they realize there's 1 second left. So they get off the field, um, and then BYU completes the Hail Mary, but it's a yard short of the goal line. Heartbreak for the Cougars. But Arizona State, man, first place in the Big 12, and they're a win against a bad Arizona team away from possibly being one of the best stories in college football, playing for a Big 12 championship, and possibly sealing a spot in the college football playoff. I mean, they are ranked currently. What is it here? Let me see if I can find it. Find this game. They are 21 right now. 9-2 overall, so a chance to go 10-2. What did you think of this game, Dalt? We'll talk about it real quick, and then I want to bring up what I was talking about.
Okay, so Dillingham might have big brain this too much at the end of this game. You get the pick, you get the interception, you get down to the 7-yard line. BYU still has 2 timeouts. There's less than a minute left. First and goal from the 7, 4 yards to Scattaboo to the 3. BYU calls a timeout. You run, I want to say like 4 seconds off the clock or whatever it was. Next play, you instead of trying to score and go up, I believe they were up 5. It would have put them up 12 or whatever. You go backwards for a 26-yard loss, which is all great and cool until BYU calls another timeout. So you didn't really gain nothing. You just lost. I mean, you ran an extra 4 or 5 seconds off the clock.
Right.
And then on third and goal, you take another 10-yard loss. And then you're able to run it down. You take a couple delay games. You get down to 7 seconds. And then you're just like, you know what? Let's try to do this Mike Gundy, Central Michigan play where you throw it deep to a guy and whatever. You end up with a second. BYU gets a chance. They complete a freaking, or they say it's incomplete on ESPN, but he throws a 48-yard pass and he needed 49 yards. Just too big brain. Just score. Just score and put the game out of reach. Who cares if you have to kick it back off to him? Who cares if you have to kick a field goal? I know your field goal situation's been terrible at Arizona State, but it's an extra point. You're at the 3-yard line. Turn around and hand it to Scattaboo 2 more times. If he scores, great. If he doesn't, kick a field goal, go up 8. They can't beat you. Don't care how much time's left on the clock. They can't beat you.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just feel like he almost blew what was going to be a great season for Arizona State, and lucky he got out of it.
Yeah, that's fair. It has been a great year for Arizona State. I mean, I think me and you, Barry, both predicted them. Did we have them dead last?
We had them dead last. Yeah, they were both our worst in the Big 12. We need to stop doing that segment.
Oh, that's great. How many teams that we predicted would be the worst are the worst? I think we maybe got Purdue right. We were down on Purdue in the Big Ten.
No, we said Washington.
Well, I know we both didn't like Washington, but I know we didn't like Purdue. Purdue was going to be very bad.
And then in the ACC, we took Virginia. I believe they're bowl eligible.
Yeah. I don't know who
in
is
the
the worst.
In the SEC, we said Vanderbilt.
Well, yeah, but I mean, come on.
I know. And then
who is the worst team in the SEC? Mississippi State? Yeah.
Mississippi State.
2-9. Eesh. I thought 6-5 was bad. Okay. So here's my thing, Dalt. Arizona State wins this game. They seem to have a very clear path to the Big 12 championship. Now, I don't want to talk about the Big 12 championship, even though I mean, we can maybe touch on this before we get into our final game that we'll talk about. Currently a 4-way tie in first place. And I'm going to read you a little something. This is actually from The Athletic.
They did the Big 12 re-up their tiebreaker rules again, like they did last year.
So it says that yeah, look. If the tiebreaker has to play, like let's just say, should all 4 win their games, this is how the tiebreaker would shake out. It says the quartet played 4 common opponents: UCF, Kansas, Utah, and Kansas State. Arizona State won all 4 of those games, while Colorado went 2-2. Arizona State would become the top seed, and Colorado would be eliminated. The second spot would come down to BYU and Iowa State. The Cougars and Cyclones played 6 common opponents, and both went 5-1, with both losing to Kansas. Their tiebreaker would advance to the 4th clause, which is strength of conference schedule, which favors the Cyclones, whose uncommon conference opponents with BYU currently have a 13-11 Big Ten record. BYU's other 3 Big 12 foes are 8-16. think Big Ten record is that's a
That's a
typo.
typo.
Yeah. BYU's 8-16. So I'm reading into that as if they all win, it'd be
Arizona State,
Arizona State,
and
and
Iowa State.
Iowa State. So here's my thing, Dalt. Let's just roll back over here to, and that's why I think these rankings that come out this weekend,
Detrimental. It's gonna be huge.
and then I guess what would be next weekend are kind of massive, because we're looking at a possible scenario where the Big 12 could miss the playoff entirely.
No, they'll get a conference champion.
No.
Oh no.
Don't.
Okay, I know.
They don't.
I know what you're.
They're
gonna
not
say.
guaranteed that spot.
I know what you're gonna say.
So let's just say, look at the rankings here. Okay, you've got the highest ranked Big 12 team right now in the CFP rankings is Arizona State. Well, let me see if I find it here. Where's it at? Why is it giving me the AP? I need CFP. What are we doing?
Well, it didn't come out till tomorrow. Yeah,
But
are
you
you
saw
wanting are you wanting the CFP from last week?
Yeah.
Oh, hold on. I got
Why
it
is
right
it-
here on my phone.
Hold on. I got it. It's coming. It's great podcasting. Okay. College football playoff. So the highest ranked Big 12 team currently was Colorado, or no, was BYU. So they lose. So they're probably going to drop probably outside the top 20, I would say. Possibly outside the top 25. And then you have Colorado, who's also going to drop now that they're 8-3, probably outside the top 25 entirely. Arizona State will likely bump up to, I don't know, 18, 17, probably. I would say something like that. And then Iowa State was at 22. They win. They'll probably get up to maybe 20. But now here's the thing. You have BYU, or you have Boise State at 12, who, due to the carnage in the top 10, will be probably close to a top 10 team, if not a top 10 team. And who's probably going to win the Mountain West. And then you have Tulane, Dalt, who is 9-2 overall and ranked 20th in the country. Now, they aren't going to get a real signature win, but let's just say Tulane this week jumps up to, I don't know, 16, because you have in the 10 through 12 range, you had BYU lost at 14, you had A&M lost at 15, you had Colorado lost at 16, Army lost at 19. 4 teams in front of them lost. So they're going to move up.
Arizona State's going to jump Tulane.
Well, probably, most likely. Probably.
And Iowa State's probably going to jump Tulane as well.
However, let's just say Arizona State makes the Big 12 championship. And then let's say Iowa State makes the Big 12 championship. I don't know. Like, what if Iowa State, who stays ranked below like if they stay ranked below Tulane and Arizona State stays right there, and then Iowa State beats Arizona State, what if they don't jump Tulane in the final rankings?
Then the Big 12 gets left out. It's the highest 5 power. It's the hot.
It's not.
Highest
It's not
champions.
a totally unreasonable thought. Like
it's not going to happen.
It's probably not going to happen. I would agree, but it's not that unrealistic.
What would need to happen?
Because there has been so much carnage. Like what? Look at it this way: Colorado is going to drop like a rock. What if Iowa State and BYU both lose, and they make the Big 12 championship and they win?
That's what I was just about
as an
to
unranked
say.
Team. You're going to tell me an unranked team is going to jump that high?
No, that's what I was.
But you're going to leave. You're going to leave Deion Sanders out of the playoff?
Yeah. I mean, it is what it is. That's what I was just about to say. The only way that the Big 12 gets left out, I think, is if
this is groundbreaking stuff. Let me tell you.
Is if Iowa State loses next week, I believe they play Kansas State.
Yeah.
So it's
So
not
a
out of the
losable
realm
game.
of them to lose.
No, absolutely. And hey, Houston's been plucky.
BYU's gotten people.
And Houston, I'm telling you,
Yeah.
Houston has been plucky.
And then if Colorado gets in and plays Arizona State, they could beat Arizona State.
These rankings are pivotal for the Big 12 this week. And then obviously next week. I mean, next week going into the championship, like if Colorado drops out of the top 25 and you turn around and see BYU and Iowa State lose, I think you get into that realm of if you have Colorado, Arizona State going into the Big 12 championship and they don't throw Colorado back in the top 25, I don't know that Colorado's better than Tulane. Tulane's a good football team, and they're going to probably finish 11-2 if they win their conference. And I mean, the American's not great, but you've had teams in and out of the top 25 all year. And,
they're going to play Army. Am I right?
I don't know what that, I think so. Yeah. And so, like, yeah, like if Colorado falls out going into the if that happens and they're not ranked going into the Big 12 championship, I don't know how you would justify if Tulane wins and is up into that top, if they're inside the top 15, even winning a conference like the Big 12, you're telling me they're going to jump from out of the rankings up above them into the top 15?
With losses to who they have losses to?
Nebraska, Kansas, who's probably going to go 6-6, and Kansas State, who is going to probably finish 8-4 or 9-3. I don't know, man. I don't think that's probably going to happen. I think BYU or Iowa State 1 is probably going to win, so you won't see Colorado there. But I don't think it's totally crazy. I mean, look at what the Big 12 has been all year. And I only saw this TikTok that kind of mentioned that, and I hadn't even thought about it because actually, buddy of BP in mine, Kobe, he brought up would the Big 12 get left out, and I just thought in my mind like, no, they're automatic bid, but that's not how it works. It's not the four. It's the Power Four is not automatic bids. It's the top five. It's the 5 highest rated, highest ranked conference champions.
Yep.
It's crazy. It's crazy.
Boise State might be getting a bye after all.
Yeah, like it's the Big 12.
4 seed BYU.
I think best case scenario would be for Arizona State to win out.
Yeah,
for the Big 12, and you're probably.
I think that's going to happen. Yeah. I think Iowa State or Arizona State are getting in over, are going to be ranked higher than Boise State and or Tulane.
Yeah. So,
because I think Arizona State's going to make a big jump this week.
Is it possible with the carnage? Is it possible with the carnage that we saw that you could get Tulane and Boise both in still?
No.
I don't think so either.
I think with the carnage we had this weekend, I was going to touch on this. I'm going to touch on this at the end. I think this benefits the ACC.
Yeah.
Getting 3 teams in, two to 3 teams in.
Okay. Let's get into our final game. We maybe should have ended with that before we did best and worst, but I just wanted to bring that up. I thought it was interesting to talk about. But our final game of the weekend, Dalt, maybe somebody will enjoy listening to that. Maybe somebody has not thought of that because it kind of blew my mind.
We just went down the rabbit hole.
Well, I just hadn't gone through scenarios. I just heard that, and so I looked it up, and I was like, oh, I'll be damned. Like, yeah, the Big 12 is not guaranteed a spot. It's crazy. So our final game was Ohio State hosting Indiana. Kurt Signetti coming in 10-0, first-time program history. You took the Buckeyes here along with Corey. I took Indiana like the fool that I am.
Fool.
Thought it looked good early. Felt good about it in the first half even. And then you had the punt return for the touchdown, Caleb Downs, and it kind of just snowballed from there on Indiana. Had the great opening drive, go right down the field, score the touchdown, go up 7-0, and Ohio State, it was kind of like the meme of the guy playing video games that slouched over in the chair.
He sits up.
It's like, okay, yeah. We've been here before. You haven't. Welcome to the show. They
Well,
win. They win 38-13 or 38-15. That was the final here. What did you think of this one, Dalton?
Ohio State getting off to a slow start is just it's gonna catch them somewhere, right? Like in the playoffs, it's not gonna catch them this week. It'll probably catch them again in the uh, Big Ten championship. But 3-and-out on your first drive, and then it's Indiana, and you're playing off coverage. You're giving Rourke these easy throws. You're giving them little chunk plays. They go 11 plays, 70 yards for a touchdown. Then you come back, go 15 plays, downs. Then you get your touchdown. But here's the crazy thing. It was like after that long drive, Jim Knowles was like, "What am I doing?" Like, like you think he sit there up
You
in the press box
realize,
and was like, "I have better athletes than them. I'm
yeah,
gonna I'm gonna
yeah,
play man and blitz the hell out of this guy."
right.
Because once they did that, it was like Indiana was just like, "Ah,
It was like a coming to your senses type moment.
yeah." It was. I mean, Rourke had a great opening drive, and then
Yeah,
after
they
that,
kind of had
they
him in
couldn't do
hell.
anything.
Yeah,
Yeah, I mean, he was. I think he went 8 for 16
not
for
great.
like 68 yards or 70 something yards. Um, they only had 160 total yards. He went 8 for 18 for 68 yards, no touchdowns. Um, Signetti running his mouth, and Ryan Day just kind of giving him the finger at the end of the game. You know the Big
Yeah.
Ten. You know the Big Ten seen that and went,
What are you doing, Ryan Day?
"Damn it!"
Yeah.
Yeah, but hey, hats off to Ryan Day. I would have Signetti
Hey, this is big boy football, man.
hey, talking that
We
smack.
play for keeps, and this is big
Yep.
boy football. And here's
Yeah.
my thing about this game. Ohio State impressive. However, all I heard all week and all I've heard all year is this Indiana team is fraudulent. They're not any good. They've not played anybody. Terrible Big Ten schedule. Fake 10-0. It's not real. Like, they're a good team. They're not a great team. Whatever. I don't necessarily disagree with any of that. However, all these national pundits and people that want to talk about how was Indiana a legit 10-0, but now that Ohio State beat them by 20 points, it's a great win for Ohio State. Another top five win.
Yep.
3 top 5 games, and they won 2 of them. Top 5 win. It's a top 5 win. Ohio State's just built for these moments and these games. They're great. They're elite. But hey, Indiana sucked leading up to this game. They weren't any good, and Ohio State was going to show them to be the frauds that they were. But now that's over. It's a great win for Ohio State. Like, you can't have your cake and eat it too, man.
Well, that's Big Ev. I know exactly who you're talking about. Big
Well,
Ev from Unnecessary Roughness was Indiana's fraudulent, but right in the next breath goes, "What a signature win for Ohio
yeah, give me
State."
a break, dude. Like,
Bro, pick one.
well, and that's my thing.
That's like Texas beating the shit out of Michigan in week 2. You don't see us going around going, "Whoa, beat them
Well,
by 30."
and it's even a little different than that to me, because you cannot don't come at me with this. This is not a real top 5 team, and because they're 10-0, they're 10-1 now. This is a good football team.
They're
Indiana's a
making the
good team,
playoffs.
and because of what happened, this is probably a playoff team,
They're
more than
in. They're gonna
likely.
have to. They're gonna have to go on the road somewhere, but they're in.
And you tell me all this lead up, and then even you hear some people that it's like, oh yeah, they got drilled by the one good team that they've played. They're not any good. But then you have those people that are like, oh, what a great win for Ohio State. Ryan Day just proving that he is the guy. He's going to get it done. And I hear even people saying, like, this just proves that Ohio State's elite and they're the best team in the country, and they should be the favorite to win the national title. Did we just forget that they got beat by Oregon? Like,
No.
that happened.
Well, Oregon's just quietly handling
Like,
business out on the West Coast.
It happened. And have we also forgotten that Ryan Day is like the king choke artist in the postseason? Like, give me a break. I think Ohio State's a great team. But again, you can't have it both ways. Don't tell me Indiana's not any good and they're frauds, and then try to tell me how great this is of a win for Ohio State. Like, spare me on that. So I did take Indiana plus 13. That was a loss for me, obviously. You took Ohio State. So, like I said, you go to 3-2 on the week. I had a abysmal 1-4. So we will wrap up here, Dalt. Do our best and worst of week 13. I feel like there was one other thing I wanted to say. Maybe not. All right. Anyway, you got a best for week? We'll get into this. Talk about this. What's your best for week 13?
My best is in the SEC, and it's going to be a freshman wide receiver who plays for the Auburn Tigers in one Cam Coleman. And I guess I could go both the receivers. The oh, I'm blanking on his name.
Lambert
Lambert.
Smith.
Lambert Smith, yeah. Cam Coleman just 7 catches, 128 yards, 2 touchdowns against Texas A&M, and then
A&M.
Just thanks for completely ruining everything. And then, Lambert Smith, Keandre Lambert Smith, 2 catches, 104 yards. Like, just that's a pretty good average.
You had one job, A&M.
You just took, like, I know that you win now that Alabama lost, you win, and next weekend you're still going to the SEC championship, but it just doesn't mean as much. You're probably falling out of the top 20. And it's not what it was going to be had you taken care of business. But that's my best. My best is the 2 receivers from Auburn in Lambert Smith and Cam Coleman, who I would like to just reiterate decommits from Texas A&M last fall and still has them in held this fall. Great choice, young man.
Okay, so my best, I have honorable mention, and this honestly could have been my best and worst in one game. Honorable mention. Did you happen to see the end of the Illinois-Rutgers game?
Yes.
So I was going to go best Illinois because you kick a field goal, miss, but Rutgers calls a timeout. So then Brett Bielema just goes big balls and is like, you know what? I'm going for it. 4th down. Nice dig route across the middle of the field. Rutgers just totally forgets how to cover and tackle, and they score and win the game. Just an insane finish. I saw the highlight. I had heard what had happened, and I saw the highlight, and I just thought, man, that's crazy. Good for Illinois. They've had a kind of a quietly good season out there in the Big Ten. A lot better than what I think some people thought they were going to be. But you know what, Dalt? You know what is going to be my best of the weekend? Just college football in general. What a just insane weekend of college football, and really the best, I guess, if you want us to call it winners, losers, best, worst. It's just us fans. It was the best for fans. You had, let's see here, going through it. How many top 10 teams got beat? 2 top 10 teams get beat. I think it was like 5 or 6 total in the top 25 got beat, and most of them by unranked teams at that. Just Oklahoma beats Alabama. Auburn beats A&M. Like the SEC in general was just mass chaos.
Florida beats
Ole Miss.
Kansas beats Colorado.
BYU gets beat. Army, like just carnage in the top 25. Bad weekend to be a top 25 team, especially if you were playing somebody unranked. So,
nah, not everybody.
Well, yeah, I mean, for a lot of teams, obviously. That's what I was just about to say. Good weekend for your Longhorns. I know my prediction did not come through for me on that one. But yeah, that's my best. Just a great weekend of college football. Like just college football in general. We were in week 13. People that said, these games wouldn't matter because of the 12-team playoff, just dead wrong.
Now.
Just dead wrong. And so that's my best. Give me your worst, Dalt.
My worst is the SEC. And when I say the SEC, I don't mean everybody in the SEC. Some teams took care of business this weekend,
Yeah, it
but
couldn't be me. Some teams took care of business.
I'm talking about Alabama, Ole Miss, and Texas A&M.
Yeah. Yeesh.
The real winners of this are Indiana,
Yep.
Texas, and the ACC. SMU is going to benefit from this, and maybe even Clemson. I mean, Tennessee's going to benefit from this as well. They were on the outside looking in. Now they're going to slide into that spot. What do they do with these 3 lost teams in the SEC? The big what if factor here is going to be if Clemson jumps Alabama and Ole Miss, which I don't know how you don't jump either one of them with the teams they lost to this weekend and how they lost to them, especially Alabama. Alabama got handled. So that's my worst. My worst are the quote unquote the SEC and Ole Miss, Alabama, and Texas A&M.
Well, I don't know whether they should or not, but I don't think Alabama's going to drop that far. I just don't. I think the rankings are going to come out and they're going to be 13 or 14.
12.
Yeah. Like,
right there, just in case like Miami blows SMU out, they can
I
be like,
think,
oh, well, here's
I
our
think,
number 12 seed Alabama.
yeah, they could be 12 and maybe Clemson would be 13.
Yep.
But, because I mean, yeah, the ACC or the SEC, Alabama loses, Ole Miss loses, and A&M. So three of their teams in the top 15, two top 10 teams. To kind of segue off that, my worst is Jackson Dart for Ole Miss, given quite literally given multiple opportunities to take his team down the field, and what would they have tied the game? Tried to tie the game?
Yep.
Yeah, and it was like he just refused to not throw an interception. Dalton, like he throws what you thought was
the
one,
ball in
and
the end zone was terrible.
well, yeah. So that was the first one.
Yeah, that back-to-back
And
drives, he throws
like
3 interceptions.
the game is on the line, and you decide to throw into triple coverage. The guy was not even remotely open. What are you thinking?
He did it against LSU too.
And then they get the ball, they get a stop, get the ball back. You're like, okay, we still got a little over a minute here, but no timeouts. And he throws the ball, and the Florida guy looks like he makes a great play, but it turns out as he hits the ground, ball comes out, rolls under his body. So third chance, or now on his third chance here, and we have a total miscommunication on what he thought I think was going to be like an out and up, and the guy just did out. He didn't up.
Juice 12.
Just did the out. He didn't up. He zigged when he should have zagged, and just throws it right to the Florida defender. That's the ball game, and Florida wins this game. Thought I could.
What's that goofy meme where he's like, and I'll do it again?
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah. Jay said something like Jackson Dart throwing an interception with the game on the line.
He's like, I'll do it again.
I'll do it again. Yeah. And he did. He did. And he did. So yeah, that's my worst. You had Jackson Dart with the the Sith mode moment in the press conference saying that they can't lose another game. And I mean, you do these things, Dalton, you just look like a fool. Because then you go out and this happens. And
Billy Napier, I know we're going to get a little long-winded here, but Billy Napier, we said in the beginning of the year, if he went 6-6 at Florida, that's a great year. And with the schedule they drew.
He's probably going to go 7-5.
I was about to say, he's about to go 7-5. So, I mean, just
maybe old Scott Strickland's not an idiot like we thought.
Well, he definitely. I think keeping DJ Lagway
Lagway's so good.
Oh, dude, he's so good.
Guy's going to be a problem.
Yeah, I got to play him next year in the swamp.
You got to go to the swamp, yeah.
But do you know who it sucks for the worst? When these schedules flip and you got to go play him as a junior.
Oh yeah, yeah, it's cool. Looking forward to it. Anyway,
with your Muskogee Rougher starting quarterback.
Right, sure. All right. Well, You got anything else? We'll get out of here.
No.
Try to keep it. We went a little long here on this recap, but it's whatever. That's our week 13 recap, dog. We're winding down here, man. Only a few more weeks. I will say, it was like Groundhog Day for me Saturday. We get 6 more weeks or so of OU football. Yippee. get to go play in the Gasparilla Bowl or something, the Liberty Bowl.
USC.
Yeah, oh, dude,
USC gets bowl eligible.
I saw some of the bowl projections and I was just so disappointed. Like
Kansas.
like,
I seen one where it was
like,
Kansas.
Yeah, Kansas.
Gosh.
I can't remember one or the other. There was another, I think, Big 12 team, and I was just like, please, anybody but a Big 12 team. I've been watching them play these teams my whole life. Like, come on, give me something else. Like that was always the coolest thing about bowl games was getting to see them play a team you're not familiar with. Like, give me a Big 10 or
what if you have to play
maybe an ACC.
What if you get to play my Duke Blue Devils?
There you go. Yeah, that'd be fine. Whatever. Probably lose, but whatever. We'll end on a high note, Dalt. We 8-5. 8-5 is out there. We're looking possibly.
What about Malik Murphy? First play of the game, throws a touchdown pass and just
double birds.
It just bangs the crowd with double birds.
Yeah, it's iconic. Honestly, iconic. I loved it.
That's that Tom Herman recruit coming out in him.
Yeah. Oh, God. Tom Herman.
Who also got fired.
Yeah. Good for him.
Winning's hard. Still.
It's still hard. It always is. All right, Dalt. We'll get out of here if you don't got anything else. We'll be back with a week 14 preview. Final weekend of the season, rivalry weekend. Not the greatest rival weekend, but we're going to be here and we're going to get into it and we're going to do it. So if you don't got anything else, Dalt, then I guess we are out.
Yeah, don't forget to cover the flats.